Some patterns are easy to miss until you start connecting the dots. Hello and welcome to Rooted in the Seasons, where ancient wisdom meets modern life with a strong cup of tea and practical tools for real busy women. I'm Katya Patel, Ayurvedic diet and lifestyle educator, yoga teacher, and a teacher mentor. Today's episode is the last in our digestion series. And I've saved something for this one that I think will make a few things click into place. We've talked about acne and ama, the digestive fire, and about when and how much to eat. Today we're looking at something slightly different. What you eat together. And why that might matter more than you think. This episode is for you if you eat well, you choose good food, and yet something still feels off. A heaviness after meals, maybe skin that keeps signaling something, energy that doesn't quite recharge. You might have just put it down to getting older or being too busy. But stay with me here because there might be a simpler explanation, right, sitting right there on your plate. Today, I want to talk about something Ayurveda calls Viruddha Ahara. Viruddha Ahara, incompatible food. Now, incompatible sounds ominous, right? So before you get started wondering what it is all about, here's what it means. And this is where it gets interesting, is that certain foods, when eating together, are completely different things of the digestive system at the same time. And the digestive system, brilliant as it is, cannot always do two things at once. From an Ayurvedic perspective, every food has its own qualities. And you might have heard me talking about it. Every food has its own pace, its own digestive demand. Some foods are light and fast, others are heavy and slow. And when you combine the fast food with the slow one, you get a kind of traffic jam inside the body. The fast food finishes, but the slow one isn't ready yet. So the fast one sits waiting. And in that waiting, it begins to ferment. What you're left with is something half digested that the body cannot use and cannot clear easily. Ayurveda calls this ama, a residue. And over time, ama tends to find places in the body that are already a little weaker and settles there. The Charaka Samhita, one of the foundational Ayurvedic texts, defines incompatible food as anything that aggravates the body but cannot be expelled. So the system gets stuck. The system gets stuck holding something it doesn't know how to clear. That's why it starts circulating around. And that's a useful image. It's not anything traumatic. It's just stuck, holding, working harder than it needs to. Now, here's something interesting. And I say this knowing it might land as a surprise. The most common incompatible combination that I see women eating, often as a healthy breakfast, is fruit and dairy together. The fruit yogurt, the yogurt with fresh berries, smoothie with milk and banana, with blueberries or strawberries. They're all healthy, right? These feel like good choices, and in isolation they are. But combined, they create exactly the problem I just described. Fruit has its own digestive fire. It ripened in the sun. It moves through quickly. It's light. It's designed to be fast, to release energy fast. Dairy, on the opposite, is heavy, cooling, slow to digest. Milk is sweet. Yogurt is sour. And cold dairy first thing in the morning, at the time when the body is still waking up and the digestion hasn't fully switched on yet. That's already asking quite a lot. Put them together and the body gets pulled in two different directions. Fruit is ready to move. The dairy isn't. And so the fruit sits and ferments. And the digestive system works harder than it needed to. Drawing energy in that, for many women, is already not in great supplies. You might notice your body responding in subtle ways. A low-level heaviness after breakfast. Mucus, which is one that often gets missed because we don't tend to connect it to food. Skin that's reactive. Energy dips. This often sneaks up quietly, which is exactly why it's so easy to miss. My teacher was very clear on this, and she wasn't someone who compromised. Her line was simple: eat fruit alone or leave it alone. No expectations. This is where things start to connect, because fruit and dairy is the most obvious example, but it's not the only one. Meat and dairy is another combination Ayurveda flags. And this one is also embedded in everyday cooking in a non-obvious way. Because you might think, I don't eat meat or fish with yogurt or milk. But how about a creamy pasta sauce? Chicken marinated in yogurt, fish in a creamy sauce. These are all weeknight dinners. Nothing unusual about them. And yet, protein from the meat or fish digests differently from the fat and the protein in dairy. The body gets pulled in two directions and processes neither cleanly. The classical texts are particularly clear about fish and dairy, linking it to clocking up the channels. And then there's the one I know will land as a real spoiler. Tomato and cheese. Pizza, lasagna, pasta bakes. Anything acidic with dairy falls into the incompatible category. And that includes most of our most loved meals. I know. I'm not asking you to never eat pizza again, but I'm suggesting if and when you do, notice how you feel afterwards. Whether there is bloating, a dip in energy, little more afternoon fog, a little more mucus than usual. The body has usually been signaling something for a long time. Most of us just haven't connected it to what was on the plate. And if you do eat these things, eat them at lunch. Digestion is at its strongest and in the middle of the day. The body is much better placed to handle a demanding combination at noon than it is in the evening, when digestive power already is winding down. As my teacher used to say, if you need to sin, sin at lunchtimes. Let me pause here for a moment, because I imagine some of you are thinking, but I've eaten this way for years and I feel fine. And here's the thing, the Charaka Samhita actually addresses this directly. The texts acknowledge that people with strong digestion, who are physically active and whose constitution is robust, can handle incompatible combinations without obvious effects. And they go further. They note that foods a person has eaten for a long time, even if technically incompatible, may cause less visible disruption simply through habituation. The body adapts, but adaptation is not the same as thriving. The body is remarkably good at managing. Managing quietly is different from having reserves. If there's a persistent low-level drain, energy that doesn't quite recharge, digestion that works but never feels easy, skin that keeps telling you something, habituation may be exactly why you never connected it to foods. Because the body adapted around it so well, so gradually, that the signal got very quiet. Your body is communicating in the only language it has. The texts also advise against changing too quickly. If these combinations have been part of your diet for a long time, reduce gradually, little at a time, rather than stopping suddenly. The body has built a pattern around them, and it needs time to recalibrate. So what does this actually look like in practice? And as always, you don't need to overhaul everything. The most useful place to start is the combination you're most likely eating regularly: fruit and dairy. Try separate them for 2 weeks. Eat the fruit on its own. Like an hour later, yogurt or milk without fruit. And you can try using honey to sweeten the yogurt. Notice how the digestion responds, how your skin changes, how the energy feels across the day. Notice how it feels when the digestive system is no longer working against itself. Think rhythm, not rules. This isn't about adding more. It's about making a small shift and letting the body show you what it can do when it's not working so hard. If you want to give digestion a more complete rest while you experiment, khichdi and mung dal are both wonderfully easy on the system. And I've saved something for this one. And I've saved something for this one that I think will make a few things click into. They are light, gently clearing, designed to let the body recalibrate without effort. I put links to both recipes in the show notes. This is exactly why I created When Rest Isn't Enough. Rebuild your daily rhythm. Not to go deeper into food combining specifically, but to look at the structure that makes all of this sustainable. When you eat, how you move into and out of eating, what the morning and the evening look like. These are the things that determine whether the body feels settled or not. You don't have to figure this out on your own. That's what the workshop is for. That's why it's live. You'll find the details also in the show notes. Now, this was just a lot to take in. So let me bring this to the essentials because I want to leave you with something clear. The combinations most worth knowing about are these. Fruit with dairy, the most common and the most worth changing first. Fruit yogurt, smoothies with milk, berries with cream. Separate them and notice what shifts. Meat or fish with dairy, creamy sauces, yogurt marinades, fish in cream. Worth being aware of, especially in the evening when digestion is already slowing down. Anything acidic with dairy, that includes the tomato with cheese, our beloved pizza, lasagna, pasta bakes. Not forbidden, but worth noticing how you feel afterwards. And if you eat them, lunchtime is your friend. There are more food combining recommendations in Ayurveda. This tradition has been observing how the body responds to food for thousands of years. And the guidance goes well beyond what we've covered today. But these are the combinations I see most often in the women I work with. These are the ones most likely to be quietly affecting how you feel and the most practical to start with. Before we finish, I want to leave you with this. Food combining is not about eating perfectly. It's about understanding that the body has a logic and observing that when you work with it rather than against it, things shift. Not dramatically, not all at once, but the heaviness after meals eases. The fog that sits over the afternoon starts to lift. The energy that was quietly going to digestion becomes available again. Small, steady changes matter. One small step is enough. When digestion finds its rhythm, so does the rest of the days. Thank you so much for listening to Rooted in the Seasons and for staying with this digestion series all the way to the end. I hope it's giving you something useful to carry into your days. If you enjoyed this episode, you can subscribe or follow Rooted in the Seasons on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. This way, new episodes land automatically for you. And if you like some more support between episodes, you can download my free guide, 5 Daily Ayurvedic Shifts to Feel Like Yourself Again. And join the Sunday Read newsletter. You'll find all relevant links in the show notes. And if something in today's episode resonated, I genuinely love to hear from you. You can connect with me on Substack or drop me an email. I read and answer all of them. Until next time, stay rooted in the seasons. Bye-bye.